Walk into a billionaire's home. You expect gold fixtures, marble everywhere, crystal chandeliers catching light from every angle. Instead, you find empty space, a single chair, perfect proportions, nothing else in the room. This confuses most people. They assume wealth demands display. They believe power must announce itself. But what if the opposite is true? What if true power whispers while pretending wealth shouts? Consider this carefully. The executive with 17 watches is proving something. The executive with one perfect timepiece has already proven it. Minimalism in the hands of the wealthy is not about saving money. It is not about environmentalism. It is not even about aesthetics. It is about control. What does it mean when someone powerful enough to have everything chooses almost nothing? Excess is easy. Anyone with sudden money buys everything. New tech founders, lottery winners, athletes in their first season. They fill rooms because they finally can. The truly wealthy do something different. They empty them. This is not accident. This is strategy. Every object you own extracts attention. It demands maintenance, creates decisions, requires protection. The minimalist removes these demands entirely. A room with one sculpture focuses all eyes on that sculpture. A room with 50 sculptures focuses eyes on nothing. This is how museums work: white walls, controlled lighting, strategic absence. The wealthy apply museum principles to living spaces. They understand something fundamental about human perception. We assign value based on scarcity. We assign importance based on isolation. When everything is highlighted, nothing is. When one thing stands alone, it becomes iconic. Old money families grasp this instinctively. Their homes contain pieces acquired over generations. Each item earned its place by surviving decades of curation. New money fills storage units. But why does removing things create the impression of having more? Minimalism builds walls without building walls. A sparse environment is difficult to enter casually. It demands a certain behavior. It enforces codes without stating them. You cannot throw your bag on a chair when there is only one chair and it is clearly art. You cannot relax completely in a space where every element is intentional. This is precisely the point. The minimalist environment maintains formality through absence. It creates distance through emptiness. European aristocracy understood this. The grand hall was mostly empty. Furniture lined the walls. The center remained clear. This forced specific movements, specific postures, specific awareness. Modern minimalism achieves the same effect with different tools. The tech executive's empty loft, the hedge fund manager's white-walled apartment, the fashion designer's concrete floors, all creating the same psychological barrier. Visitors become acutely aware of themselves. They moderate their behavior. They seek approval for small actions. May I sit here? Should I remove my shoes? Where should I place this? The minimalist never states rules. The space states them. This is power, the ability to control behavior without appearing to control it. What does it say about someone when their environment demands your self-consciousness? True luxury hides its cost. The obvious Rolex announces price. The understated Patek Philippe announces knowledge. One screams, one selects. Minimalist spaces operate on the same principle. That empty room is not cheap. That single chair cost more than a full furniture set. Those bare walls required extensive renovation to achieve that exact texture. The concrete floors are not industrial salvage. They are custom poured, sealed, heated from below. The nothing you see cost everything. But only insiders recognize this. Only people with specific knowledge understand that simplicity at this level is extraordinarily expensive. This creates a sorting mechanism. Those who see an empty room see an empty room. Those who understand see a fortune in restraint. The minimalist signals to their own class while remaining invisible to everyone else. This is strategic obscurity. Loud wealth attracts attention. Attention attracts regulation. Attention attracts theft. Attention attracts resentment. Quiet wealth attracts nothing. The most successful families you have never heard of maintain this principle across generations. No logos, no press, no excess. They move through the world unmarked. Their homes could belong to successful professionals, comfortable but not extraordinary to untrained eyes. Extraordinary only to those who know where to look. Why would the powerful prefer to be underestimated rather than admired? Minimalism is ultimately about no. No to that acquisition. No to that opportunity. No to that invitation. This is the hardest word for most people, especially people with resources. When you can afford anything, saying no becomes the only remaining flex. The collector who buys everything has no taste, only money. The collector who buys one thing after rejecting thousands has both. This applies beyond objects: social minimalism, relationship minimalism, calendar minimalism. The powerful say no constantly. They decline meetings, they skip events, they ignore opportunities. Not because they lack time, because they understand that presence diluted becomes presence destroyed. The venture capitalist who meets everyone is accessible. The venture capitalist who meets almost no one is legendary. Scarcity of access creates value of access. The minimalist applies this to everything. Fewer clothes, fewer commitments, fewer words. Each no reinforces the value of each yes. This requires discipline most people cannot maintain. The discipline to walk past something you want. The discipline to delete rather than save. The discipline to leave space empty. This discipline signals something crucial. It signals that you are not controlled by desire, not driven by impulse, not ruled by the fear of missing out. What does it reveal about internal power when external accumulation holds no appeal? The ultimate minimalism is invisibility itself. The most powerful people are not on lists. Their homes are not in magazines. Their names appear nowhere. They have reduced their public presence to nearly zero. This is not hiding. This is editing reality itself. They understand that attention is a liability, that fame is a cage, that recognition is a weakness, so they remove themselves from the narrative entirely. They own without being known. They influence without being identified. They control without being visible. This is minimalism taken to its logical extreme. Not just fewer possessions, fewer traces, fewer confirmations of existence. And in that absence, in that carefully maintained void, power concentrates. Because power unexplained is power unquestioned. Power unseen is power unlimited. The minimalist aesthetic is not really about taste. It is not about philosophy. It is not about trends. It is about creating the conditions for absolute control. Control of space, control of perception, control of access, control of narrative. The empty room is not empty. It is full of intention. Every absence is a choice. Every void is a statement. Every reduction is an amplification. The person who needs nothing from you already has everything. That is the message. That is the power. And that is why minimalism, in the hands of those who truly rule, will always signal something the rest of us are still learning to read.